Okay, so let's work out the first exercise together. This, remember, is part 2 of the video. Now, let's see where the horizon line is placed. This is the horizon line, remember, because the VPs are always on the horizon line, okay? The horizon line appears to be halfway through the page. Now, remember, when we have a 2-point perspective or 1-point perspective without measurements, it means you're going to take an estimate, okay? By ratio in this case, because this is much smaller, obviously, and you're going to take an estimate value, okay? An approximate measurement. So this is like halfway through the page. So I'm going to draw one over here, okay? I drew my horizon line, and here I'm going to label my VPs. I have VP1 here and VP2 here, okay? Now I'm going to see this length, okay? And take it as an approximate measurement over here. I'm going to place mine here, okay? Yeah. Okay, so till now, and then I'm going to place this straight line, okay? Seems to be somewhere in the center. Somewhere in the center of the page. Okay, so now what I have is this part. I have the horizon line with the VPs and the straight line. Okay, now I'm gonna do what's done here. From here, I'm gonna go to both VP1 and VP2. And same thing from here. I'm gonna go from here to VP1 and from here to VP2. All right? Oh, hold on. All right, so till now I have diagram 1. I've drawn this diagram, okay? Now I'm gonna move on to the second part. So imagine, take out 2 horizontal lines like this, okay? And just drop these down, okay? We're gonna take this at an approximate value and I'm gonna apply it here. I'm gonna mark it out here, okay? Then I'm gonna take this one as well, all right? And mark it out over here, okay? All right, now what I do, remember this over here is my midpoint. The midpoint always lies on the horizon line, all right? So marked out the midpoint. Remember, these lines have to go towards the midpoint. Now you can realize something. For example, I'm gonna make an adjustment, because here, if I take this line like this, look, if I take it like this, all I'm gonna have space is from here to here. Now I want this a little bigger. I want it a little bigger. So I'm gonna move this out a little bit. So if this happens to you, no problem. If you're working well, you should realize this from the beginning and take it out a little further, okay? I'm gonna do this here and do the same thing on the other side, all right? If you work in this method that I'm showing you, and you'll realize a problem from the beginning, all right? So from here, I'm gonna take it towards the midpoint, and from here towards the midpoint as well, all right? Now, where they meet here, where this line meets this line that's going towards the VP, I mark it out, okay? And from there, I'm gonna drop a vertical line, all right? Same thing here. where this line that's going towards the midpoint meets this line that's going towards the VP, mark it out and drop a vertical line, okay? All right, now I'm gonna make this part in bold because look at the diagram here. It's all in bold. It's gonna get all in bold, look at it. So the back is all in bold. So I'm just gonna get that done. All right, so I have the back done. Now, this part, can you see it? It's split up into 5 parts. Look at it. Yes? Split up into 5. So, I'm gonna take the length I have here, okay? And I'm gonna split it up into 5. Okay, this is 86 basically. Let's make it 85. 85 division by 5. So, 85 divided by 5, 17. So I'm going to split it up into parts of 17. Okay, remember, when we're transferring straight lines from, say, this diagram to this diagram, straight lines always remain straight, obviously, and they remain from the same position, okay? So if I'm taking the straight line from here, okay, it's gonna stay from here, okay? Like, for example, in the previous sheet, this previous sheet, when the vertical line had to be from here up, I went from here, from this side, and I went straight up, okay? I don't go from here, I go from here. I go from the true lines, okay? So now, remember, lines that are gonna be drawn towards the right have to go towards VP2, and lines that have to be drawn towards the left, they go to VP1. We're gonna have examples of both these cases in this drawing, okay? So let's start with this one. This one, okay, the first part, I draw it towards VP2. I go like in and I go out, okay? VP2. All right, so I'm gonna make these lines bold, 1, 2, and 3, okay? And I'm gonna make them bold from this side as well. Now, till here, we have the second diagram, okay? Now we're creating this one, all right? Now I'm gonna make these lines bold, okay? These, on my drawing, I'm gonna make them bold, all right? And these, okay? These. 1 and 2, all right? Now, I'm gonna do this part. I'm gonna find this measurement, okay? So I can find this spacing. So I take an approximate measurement for this part, take it towards the midpoint, and so I'll show you now, come. So I apply it, I'm gonna apply it here. Here, okay? I'm gonna take it towards the midpoint. All right, don't remember faintly. And where this line meets this line that's going towards VP2, I mark it out, all right? Mark it out. Now, from that point, I go vertically up, all right? And now I can make these parts bold. Look, these parts, All right. Okay, now I have one final part to do, because look, this part of the E is empty. Where it's a block, I need to continue it. So these lines have to be projected towards the left, right? This line and this line and this line, they have to be projected towards the left. So I don't draw a horizontal line, I take them towards VP1. Remember, with perspective, except for this line at the bottom, there are no more horizontal lines. They either go towards VP1 or they go towards VP2. And remember, this line at the bottom is used to set these measurements that go along here, okay? So for example, when I needed this measurement to find this vertical line, I don't apply the measurement straight away on this line that's going towards VP2. First, I apply it here, okay? So say I had given you this measurement myself, and I told you it had to be 30 millimeters. You would not apply the 30 here, all right? You would apply 30 millimeters here, and then you go to the midpoint and then use the line you have here. You don't apply 30 here, you apply it here, all right? You apply true measurements on the horizontal line, okay? Now, we're gonna go from here towards VP1, okay? We're gonna go from here towards VP1 and here towards VP1, okay? And then just make the lines bold. You can make them bold as you're drawing the lines from VP1. Just be careful, you only make this part bold, not the whole thing, okay? And there we go. We have our E block, okay? So now, regardless of which sheet you have, could be this one, whichever they are, all rules apply to the perspective drawings. All the same rules we discussed, they all apply in the same way towards the other perspective drawings. Regardless of how complicated they may look, we always use those same rules, okay? For example, look here, even you want to split it up into two. Instead of measuring on the horizontal line, you can just draw the X over here and you've split it up into two, okay? You can use those ideas. For example, let me show you the first part of this one, for example. So, the horizon line seems to be a quarter of the page in. So I draw it approximately the quarter of a page in, all right? VP1 here, VP2 here, okay? Draw this line wherever you need to. Okay, let's say I'm gonna draw it here. Okay, and you'd have these lines going up here. All right. Then, now in this case, you could tell me, I can just take an approximation here because I don't have a value to give you here. So, all right. But ideally, you still do this first so you get used to the system, okay? Because I'm going to repeat the same thing I said first. If I give you a value of, say, 100 millimeters on this side, you have to first apply it on the horizontal line, take it towards the midpoint, and where that line meets over here, you get this distance. So you don't apply the measurement I gave you here. This comes later. You apply the measurement I gave you here. Okay? And remember, after you apply the measurements here, okay, let's say these are the measurements we're gonna use. We're gonna use this one here and one to here, here and here. No, you still need them. You still need them. Why? Because you need to draw a vertical line up from here and a vertical line up from here, and then you have to measure the distance in between and find the midpoint, because you need the midpoint, okay? And then you carry on as per normal. So regardless, whichever one you're working on, it could be any one of these, the same rules always apply, okay? Regardless of how complex they might get, the same rules always apply. Now these, for example, for the circles, you're not going to stay using any compass method with them. You're just going to sketch them on, okay? Like I said, regardless of which one you have, this one started for you, for example. Regardless of which one you have, the same rules always apply, okay? This one works by ratio, okay? So you take, for example, the spacing you have here, compare it to here, and split them up into the number of parts required, okay?